Smells like balls.
Birdman is an absolute marvel of a film. It's got great characters, superb storytelling, and on a technical level, it's one of the most impressive films ever made. The entire film is made to look like one continuous shot, and obviously that's not the case, but just how did they do that? How did they make it look like that? Number 1. Cutting during pan shots. This is the most frequently used type of cut in Birdman, and basically it involves moving the camera between two areas of focus. So we'll be looking at one person talking with another, for example, and then the camera turns so that we can see that other person. But at some point between this, the camera will be looking at absolutely nothing.
What are you doing?
I don't want to look at this anymore.
Even if this is just for a split second, because there are no people in the shot, it can be easily reproduced later on. Take this conversation between Mike and Sam. Mike talks.
Your ass is great.
The camera pans. The camera finishes panning.
Dude, seriously?
This technique actually also affects the story because it leads to a kind of shot I'd like to call number 1.5, the "look, what's that guy doing" shot. This is technically the same as number 1, but with a common twist. The camera will be focused on something and then it'll pan towards an extra who has almost nothing to do with the story, giving enough time for a cut during the pan. So you get "look, he's wrapping a cable." Or "look, the teller is angry."
Where are you going?
Or "look, a drummer." But it's like a magic trick in that way, in that he has distractions to keep you focused on something so that he can conceal the cuts. Number 2, time lapses. There are 3 time lapses in this film, and these are the most obvious cuts. It's the same principle as before. The camera looks at something with no people in it so that it can cut without being noticed. At least one of these time lapses, however, was fully CG. Number 3, total blackout. Another simple way to hide a cut is to find a natural way to make the entire scene go black. Again, it's super simple to recreate for the subsequent shot while making it look as if it's a continuous movement. This happens when they walk into the bar/coffee shop and also when they walk out of it. It's also used when Regan shoots himself for the first time in the play. One time they do the total opposite by having a total whiteout. Number 4, masking a wipe. Now sometimes the filmmakers didn't want to divert your attention away from the action. They wanted you focused like a laser on what was happening, so they couldn't use a pan shot or go to black. So what did they do then? They used wipes. Now wipes are a very noticeable kind of cut. They look like this.
Smells like balls.
But what they did in Birdman was conceal the wipe with something natural in the environment that crossed the entire frame of the film. Like this woman in this shot. Or this water cooler. So long as they time the wipe to the speed of the object moving across the frame, and so long as that object in the foreground touches the top and bottom of the frame, it could be used as a wipe cut. A similar technique is famously used in Jaws, where Steven Spielberg uses people walking by to cut between the ocean and Martin Brody. Here, it's noticeable because it cuts between different sets, but in Birdman, it's invisible because the set on both sides of the frame are exactly the same. In one scene, they actually do a full frame wipe by covering the entire screen with bed sheets for a split second.
I'm serious, Mike.
Number 5, the zoom. Now this one was only used once, but it's pretty clever. The camera zooms in on Sam's smartphone video of Regan running through Times Square. The time code is then matched so that when the camera zooms out, we're suddenly in the bar. Number 6, CGI and green screen. There's a lot of digital trickery that Inarritu and his team used to make this film appear seamless. In fact, 90 minutes of this film was actually digitally altered and enhanced in some way. Now some of this stuff is obvious, like the giant mecha bird creature, but other stuff not so much. Many scenes are digitally altered to composite 2 different takes. This was because the director would like Michael Keaton's performance better in one take and like what Edward Norton did in another. So he'd splice them together and get the perfect shot. A lot of the film is also sped up or slowed down in order to match the pace of the percussion soundtrack. And Michael Keaton's jaw is digitally composited onto an extra for this scene when Birdman is talking to Regan. And I think most amazingly, digital effects were used to remove the entire behind the camera team from the mirrors used in almost every scene. Think about that. There are a lot of mirrors in this movie, which help enormously to keep all the actors on camera without having to pan constantly. But that meant a ton of work to erase the crew from the reflections. incredible. So there you go. With careful planning, choreography, lighting, editing, and digital effects, Inarritu was able to complete a perfect illusion. And that's why Birdman is one of the best pictures ever made. My name is Sage, and thanks for watching The Best Pictures. From here on out, I'm going to be covering all of the Best Picture winners in reverse chronological order. That means next week I'll be doing a video on 12 Years a Slave. So, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you then.